The House has resumed. At the dinner break, we were considering the first reading of the Accident Compensation Financial Responsibility and Transparency Amendment Bill. Andrew Bailey was speaking, and if he so wishes, has 4 minutes and 50 seconds remaining.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Andrew Bailey.
As I was saying just before the dinner break, ACC has been investing $34 million into injury prevention schemes, which is a great thing. And that, to get taken with the other entities involved in that area, including WorkSafe, is contributing to a large focus on reducing injuries in New Zealand. And that's why I believe the opposition is wrong in making its assertions that it has been making with regard to this issue. It's interesting also to note that in 2013-14, new claims increased by just under 5%, taking the total to about 1.8 million new claims assessed in that year. And despite the pressure of these additional claims, 93% of all these claims resulted in people going back to work within 9 months. And I think that is an admirable achievement from a well-run ACC. And also at the end of June 2014, the difference in terms of the assets of the Commission had narrowed to just over 100 million. And again, we were talking about that before. That substantial improvement was due in large part to a $2.1 billion surplus, but also due to improved investment returns. And whilst this is all good, what most people don't appreciate is that the decreasing investment returns and changes in discount rates have a significant impact on the returns that ACC reports. And the volatility is due to two things. One is ACC is required to assess its market investments held under its investment account on a mark-to-market basis, which means that every year they have to go through and look at the current valuation. But secondly, when it comes to assessing liabilities, it adopts the Treasury's view on an appropriate discount rate. So here we have an independent body, the Treasury, determining what an appropriate discount rate is in terms of assessing its future liabilities. And as noted by the chair of the ACC in a recent Transport Industrial Relations Select Committee, changes in the discount rate can be substantial, and she's noted that it was a $4 billion impact in that year. And the essence of what we're trying to do with this bill is providing a framework for determining how ACC's levied accounts are funded, having regard to this issue of volatility. Now, I hear the opposition members claiming that ACC accounts are overfunded and therefore the corporation should be paying out more in terms of reduced levies. In my view, the opposition is wrong as they misunderstand the real situation. Now, just to be clear, in the annual report at June 2014, the work account was funded 138%, the earners account was 131%, and actually the motor vehicles account was slightly underfunded at 99%. Now, what the good member across the way does not appreciate is the valuation of the liabilities that I spoke of before only take into account 75% of the assessed value. Now, that is an approved rate, but it doesn't take in the full liability. And what the chair of the ACC said to us is the Commission's number one concern is to make sure that we've got levy stability and ensuring the long-term viability of the scheme. And this is what this bill is about. It will improve the framework for determining how ACC levies accounts and to make sure that it is clearer and more transparent how that's been determined, and to also make sure that the residual levy is not over-collected. And we've spoken about this before, where we've got this residual amount that needs to be dealt with, $3.4 billion, and this bill is going to address that in a comprehensive way. So, Mr. Speaker, I think what's been proposed, particularly under sections 166A of the bill, is that first of all, it's going to deal with how the cost of claims make sure that they're fully funded. by offsetting adequate asset returns around those, to make sure that the levies also meet the lifetime costs of claims, and thirdly, if an account is in deficit, to set out a framework to make sure that we can get to a point where there is an appropriate return. Mr. Speaker, I believe this is a great bill and I strongly commend it to the House.